One thing that we see so much of is people just way over talk to the dog and everything, we've got to talk, 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 talk. And the dog just hears that and it creates an anxiety of like, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you want me to do. And then you just see the dog, getting amped up and it's sort of a vicious cycle. So, it's kind of a fun little activity. Don't talk to your dog for 24 hours and see just how much your dog listens to body language, and because that's how they communicate with each other is through body language first.
So have you ever done like a podcast or anything?
This, I believe, is my first.
Your first?
So, yes.
Yay. It'll be fun, I think.
We'll see. I was telling her this is so out of my comfort zone.
Perfect.
So.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, this is my 10th year running a business, and I kind of fell into it by accident with dog training. So I'm a mom of some amazing kiddos. I have an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old, and then I also have a 15 and a 14-year-old bonus kids who just love them all to death. So busy, very busy with teenagers and dogs. So
Today school's off, so they're all home.
everybody's home. So my oldest one, she's down in Nashville enjoying the snow down there in college. So it's
Tell me about the dog training business.
Gosh, it just sort of happened upon me by accident. It would be 10 years in March that my dad said to me, do you want me to, he found out that Cesar Milan was auctioning off a 5-day course out in California for dog training. And he said, do you want me to bid on it for your birthday? Because I had a Boston Terrier who, her nickname was Rotten Beast because
She was her name.
She would answer to it. Her real name was Addy May, but she answered to Rotten Beast because at this point she was 7 years old, but she was still just out of control, super wild, sweet as can be. But when I took her out, we won the auction, and I took her out, and I realized it was not her, it was me.
That's what always happens.
Yes, and I actually looked at her and was like, I'm so sorry, it's not you, it's me.
You're like, I am the Rotten Beast.
I am. I was like, I will now take the name. But, it just was very life-changing because I realized how much our energy affects the dogs, and which then it also is the same for people around you. So, I came home and I realized this is what I wanted to do with my life and become a dog trainer, which was perfect timing because my kids were about to be in school full-time at that time. And, I just started learning from all these different trainers, traveling the country. My parents were amazing and watching my girls. I was newly divorced, so single mom. And like I said, my parents, I owe them so much because they just would step in and help whenever needed. And I was about 3 months into this, and my daughter, who was 9 at the time, she randomly walked into a room where I was, and she said, Mom, you're a much better mom now that you're a dog trainer. And she turned around and walked out. And I stood there completely, like, I felt like I had been slapped in the face a little bit. And then I realized what she meant because I realized through dogs that our energy affects those around us. And I realized that my dogs were totally out of whack and unbalanced because I was in a state of chaos. And so when I realized that, it translated to my kids as well. My parenting was better. I was more focused. We were more structured. And my daughter at 9 years old picked up on that. So that was very affirming and validating that I was doing the right thing. And so this business has just kind of grown leaps and bounds. We just broke ground last week on a facility. So
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So exciting.
It's going to be so wonderful. I've been doing this out of my house. We actually put an addition onto my house. I've outgrown that. This is going to be able to house 40 dogs. During the day, they will be out in a training room, having very structured activities, socialization time, rest time during the day, and then we're going to come back out in the afternoon and do it all again. And it's not going to be like your typical kennel where dogs are barking all day and overstimulated. And, I've been through a lot of those kennels, and I don't know how people can handle working there, and it's not enjoyable for the dogs either. So we're going to make this a very happy, calm facility.
You have a very calm energy, even just right now sitting in front of you.
Yeah.
You're very like peaceful.
That was not me about 10 years
Okay.
ago. I've come a long way. But it's been amazing. It's been this whole process of building this facility and navigating the county, it's taken years. It's been very, very frustrating process. My dad, who is in the commercial development side, he's been a huge help in this process as well. I'm even getting my daughter in on it, who's 15. She wants to be an interior designer, so she's been helping me pick the siding and the stone and the roof and the, whatever else, and she's already picking the colors for inside the kennels.
Where's it going to be?
Off of Gleesville Road in Leesburg.
Okay.
It's on 7 acres.
Nice.
Wooded. So it's going to feel
How
like
exciting.
a very country home
Yeah.
setting.
And you don't have to worry about barking.
Yeah. No, and well, they're not going to be barking.
They won't be barking, but
We are
with 40 dogs, you might.
No, we're not. I mean, I've had a lot of dogs at my house, and
Never
people
been an
don't know.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I have one dog, or 2 dogs, but one specifically, and everybody knows.
everyone knows. Well, I'll come over and help you with that.
She's a hound. She does like to bark.
Yes, they will let you know. They'll let you know they're there for sure. But a lot of it is keeping stress levels down, keeping them mentally stimulated. And in fact, when we were originally trying to get approval from the county, we went in front of the board, and at the time we had a lawyer with us, and he actually said, "No stress equals no bark," and I was like, "That's a T-shirt," and I do.
Yeah.
Now I made T-shirts because a lot of these dogs, when they're stressed and they don't have any way to, mentally stimulate themselves, you start to get the barking, and it just continues, and then the other ones feed off of it, and it becomes a big party. But we have it so where the kennels are going to be set up, they're not going to be facing each other. They're going to have their own little private quarter.
A little swell.
Yeah, so it's going to be like their own little apartment,
There you
their
go.
own little condo. So when they are resting, they're not looking at each other and,
Overstimulating each
yeah,
other.
it's like, hey, let's join in the fun. So yeah, it's been quite a process, and I've learned a lot on what it takes to try to get your small business off the ground here in Loudoun County.
What have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned so far that you could share with listeners?
Well, nothing is as easy as it sounds. A lot of it was you really do have to keep after it. We did have the whole COVID issue,
We did.
which slowed it down. But after that, it was getting our site plans approved. It was they would kick it back and say, "Fix this," so we'd fix it. And they kick back and say, "Fix this," and we fix that. And then it was another time. And so finally, it took us, thankfully, Caleb Kirshner's office stepped in and helped us, and we got everything
Squared
approved.
away.
Yeah, after that.
Good.
But, it really, you can't just sit back, and you really do have to stand up and speak up for yourself. And
Why do you think it's so difficult?
I don't know. I don't know. I would love to delve into that a little bit more. And, apparently I'm not the only one. I have heard,
I have too. That's why I was
Yes.
asking if you had any insights on that.
I really don't. I do know that they were new rules were being implemented in between, us returning the site plans, but at that point I think we should have been grandfathered into what
Old
was
rules.
the original.
Yeah.
So, but we are where we are, and I think we had a good. The universe had a good plan for us because my daughters are all grown and a little bit more self-sufficient than had this been pushed through a couple of years ago, and I've met some really great people in the industry who are going to help me, start off on the right foot. And I have an amazing, business coach who has gone through this whole process before, and she's really guiding me on how to do things right the first time. So
That's good.
Yeah.
It's always nice to have a guide.
Yes. It's going to be a lot of high quality dog boarding and training.
I was going to say, yeah, tell me a little bit about the business, like your philosophy, what you're going to offer there.
We are going to offer training. We're going to have boarding, and we're going to have some grooming. It is going to be a little bit more exclusive in that our training clients are going to be those who are allowed to board there. If you have not trained with us, we will do an evaluation to make sure that your dog would be a good fit for our program. My philosophy is relationship first. If you don't have the proper relationship to where your dog trusts and respects you as a leader, it's not going to work out. A lot of times I just see how much we spoil our dogs, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we haven't built that foundation first. And so once we kind of tweak those things, we really see a huge change in how the dog sees us, and then everything just falls into place. I definitely spoil my dogs. We are at that point in our relationship where we can get away with those things. I do have one who takes it a little too far if we we spoil him too much. But it's about creating boundaries and rules and structure and things like that, so that the dog has that trust and confidence in us. It's something that I've learned along the way. That has made a huge difference both in my relationship with dogs and people. So,
yeah, it is funny that, the animals, as we're training them, dogs in this specific case, we always, rotten beasts, think it's them.
yes.
And then in reality, it's like, wait, no, actually it's me.
It really is.
Or the environment they're in. Or
Yeah. What was interesting about Addy, rotten beast, she was so intuitive on what our family needed before we even knew. My older daughter, when she was about 3 years old, she started having staring spells, and so we were trying to figure out what was going on, and we found out she was having silent seizures in her sleep.
Silent seizures, yeah.
And what we didn't understand was Addy Mae knew well before we did, and every night after Avery would go to sleep, Addy would go and pick a toy and bring it and lay it on her bed and sleep with her until 2 or 3 in the morning, and then she'd come back to my bedroom. And when we started delving into what was going on with my daughter, we found out through the overnight EEGs that it wasn't until 2 or 3 in the morning that her body finally went into REM sleep, and that's when the dog left. And once we figured out what was causing her seizures, which happened to be gluten, we took that out of her diet. She stopped having seizures, and the dog didn't go back in there anymore.
That is insane.
Yeah. So she taught me to listen. Our dogs are constantly telling us stuff. We just don't quite understand it.
So they're training us.
They really are. Well, yes. A lot of times. So, I mean, she really taught me that dogs know so much, and we just don't always know how to interpret
Respond to it,
Yeah.
Or like you said, respond to it. Oh, sorry, the lights are kind of getting me.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. In terms of, which by the way, you got to tell me some good gluten-free bread, if you've already been through on trying to find some good gluten-free bread. In terms of like experiences that you've had with your clients, I don't know, who do you consider clients? The dogs or the people?
People.
The
So
people, okay.
A lot of dog trainers aren't necessarily people. People.
Yeah.
I am. I love people. I love dogs. I have become very close with a lot of my human clients. Some don't even have dogs anymore, and we still get together. We still go do things. We talk all the time. I've had clients call me and let me know that their dog passed away before they've even told their children. I've gotten immediate texts that my dog has cancer, my dog has a heart defect, and, all these things. And it's very humbling. It's honor, it's an honor that these people choose to share these personal
They
life
trust you,
experience. Yes.
obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a part of the family, like it or not.
And they're part of my family. It really means a lot. They're some of my biggest cheerleaders who are so supportive and, of what we're doing right now. And a lot of great clients who are constantly referring me. It just really means a lot. So.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. What are some of those transformation stories that you've...
Well, sometimes it's more seeing the transformation in the human.
The people, yeah.
Yeah, which then translates to their dog. I have had a lot of clients trust me with some very personal things that they're going through. So sometimes I feel like we have therapy sessions, and so seeing my clients become, stronger, independent, seeing their dogs transform. I had one reach out to me who recently, we did one lesson. The dog was running over her, the dog was dragging her down the street, all these things. And we talked about, changing just certain little nuances through their everyday life. And she reached out to me recently and just said how great things were going and she can walk her dog. And, the dog's pretty much was bullying her through the house. And, she took that back and gained that confidence to do that. So, those are great success stories. And to be able to take the information I gave her after one lesson and, implement it.
Make a change in her relationship with him. I'm sure that was big.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I remember I had my dog trained, and then when he came back to us, it was training me.
Yes. Yes.
And it was like, even as much as just how you're holding the leash, if you're gripping it and you're nervous, like
that energy,
which I thought was insane.
Right.
That they can pick up on that. And a lot of the philosophies you said where it's like, your dogs are not people. Yeah. In the terms, and I'm not saying you have this exact philosophy, but he was like, you've got to treat your dog like a pet, meaning like you've got to have that dominance.
Honor the dog for who they are.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was just this whole shift because I was raised with spoil your dog, and the dog runs the show until the dog is running all over you.
Right. And then it's not so cute anymore.
No.
I equate a lot of I tell people, we have this expectation of our dog to do XYZ, but we've never taught the dog what it is and how to do these things. It's like telling your kid, you better go read this, novel, but I never taught you ABC, and then I'm going to punish you for not being able to read this book.
Yeah, or they don't know how to, you don't know how to communicate with them,
right,
in a way that they can understand.
Right, and one thing that we see so much of is people just way over talk to the dog and everything. We've got to talk, and the dog just hears that, and it creates an anxiety of like, I don't know what you want from me. I don't know what you want me to do. And then you just see the dog, getting amped up, and it's sort of a vicious cycle. So, it's kind of a fun little activity. Don't talk to your dog for 24 hours and see just how much your dog listens to body language, and because that's how they communicate with each other, is through body language first.
Yeah.
So it's just.
No, that's fun.
Yeah.
That would be a fun activity. Yeah, just don't even say anything, and they're smarter than we think they are.
Yeah, much smarter. And we tend to complicate them.
Yeah.
They're simple beings, but we complicate them. I say don't humanize your dog, but do treat them like kids. Rules, boundaries, structure, routine, follow through. And you're going to see a huge change in their behavior.
You probably already kind of went through, but can you give me 3 quick tips that you wish dog owners knew about their pets to make them happier?
Well, honoring your dog for who they are is number one. I think we're so quick to bring a dog into our home, whether it's, a puppy or a rescued senior, whatever, and just say, here, have at it. And this is your new palace. And rather than treating it like a child who's just learning to walk, and we, minimize their space until they understand the rules. And then over time, guess what? Here, you can have,
The palace.
the palace. You just have to earn it. I think too, the other thing that we way overdo for dogs is affection, is constant affection without having to earn it. Sometimes it's like walking around giving a child $100 every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And at the end of the week, they're going to
Spoiled
but
little
they're
thing.
going to want $200.
Yeah.
But, it's fascinating to see when we're just constantly giving without having them earn it. Just as humans, like we feel better when we earn something and we work for something rather than constantly being given
I agree.
something. So, and the other thing is to, again, honor your dog for who they are. Give them that exercise that they need, not physically, but, mentally as well. And that kind of goes back to earning, privileges and affection and all sorts of different things. But, just I think having them earn these things really goes a long way, and, gives them...
What are some quick ways to do that?
So, I like to reference my mini Aussie that we have at home. We can't just give him everything, because if you give this dog an inch, he takes a mile. So a lot of times if we have to invite him over for affection when he's deserving of it. And so having him also earn his whatever. We take him for bike rides. We got to mentally exercise this little guy. We make him sit and work for food. Like we'll make him, sometimes I'll make him even search out food. Mm-hmm. Nose work. But, earning things rather than constantly giving and giving and giving. Now we do have another dog at home, and you can give her everything and anything, and she will listen, and she won't, misbehave.
Yeah.
But this guy, having him earn and work for things really goes a long way, for sure. So, it does kind of give them a pride in what they do. The other thing is I don't mind dogs being up on the furniture with us. But again, they have to earn it and be deserving of it, because elevation for a dog physically is an elevation in status. So the higher up they are, the more...
That's why they're always trying to jump on the couch.
Yeah, and then they jump behind you and sit up and perch on the back of the couch.
They're like, I am your...
Right.
master.
So, for this particular dog, it's kind of like, all right, you've got to be invited, and then you have to be, calm and not climbing all over us. And, so things like that, just are you deserving of affection at this moment? Because if I give it to him at the wrong time, again, I'm giving affection to the wrong state of mind. You get what you pet. So whatever, you are giving affection to at that moment.
Yeah, they're going to keep doing more of it.
Yeah, they're going to keep doing it. And a lot of times we give affection trying to stop a behavior. We're like, oh, calm down. Let me pet you. Let me hold you. Let me pick you up, whatever. And so we end up nurturing the wrong state of mind in the dog when we're actually trying to stop that behavior. So being well aware of that has gone
Actions
a long way.
and how it's actually
Yeah.
helping or hurting your animal's behavior.
Yeah. One thing I've been really, really trying to drill into people's head is if you don't like the behavior from your dog, stop and address it right then and there. Don't keep going and doing whatever it is you're doing, because in essence, then you're rewarding that behavior at that moment. So if the dog is getting super excited about mealtime and you're prepping it and the dog keeps jumping and getting excited, but you don't like that behavior, well, stop. Wait for the dog to settle and then keep going and making your dog's dinner. So just stuff like that is...
Does yelling at your dog help?
No, because then you're usually just joining in your dog's frenzy with the dog.
Anxiety levels.
Yeah. I mean, on occasion, if you need to get, raise your voice to get the dog's attention, yes. But sometimes I'll just stand there and I look at my dog like, really? I call it dad stink eye. When you used to get in trouble growing up and you got the dad
Got the
stink
eye, yeah.
But, you know, I sometimes I will just look at, like, are you done? Okay, now let's continue on.
So it can be as simple and calming as that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to turn into a scream fest.
No, and that's what we end up doing with the dog is like they bark, we scream at them. They bark louder, we scream louder, and so
And then you guys are both barking and screaming at each other.
exactly, exactly.
I feel like that was like a little mini course in how to control your.
Yeah, yes. It's a lot simpler than we make it for sure. I just think we're so busy and so stressed out with so many other things, and you know that it's just one more thing to add to our bucket of stuff to do, and you know trying to train our dog, and really training should not be you know hours upon hours a day. You know, I say take a few minutes here and there, intentionally work with your dog, and then as you are living with your dog and those teachable moments come up, stop, take the time to teach your dog what it is you want in that particular moment, and then continue forward. So
I will say though, working with a professional trainer is also a very good idea
yeah,
in a lot of cases, especially for somebody who's never trained their dog before, and you're right on the verge of like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. So
yeah,
professional trainers definitely go a long way because
Yeah.
it's not a skill set that everybody has right at the beginning, even though it is very easy.
right. Well, and it's like I could never teach my children all the things they need to learn. That's why there's teachers.
That's right. That's right. Well, I know because I got the books and I watched like the YouTube videos about how to do it. I was at like week 2 and I'm like, it's not working.
Right. Well, and there's just so many, that's the other thing. There's just so many philosophies and so many different ways out there.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people will call and, you know, will interview me about coming out and working with their dog. And they're like, well, what's your philosophy? And and I said, well, we have to find what works, not only for the dog, but for the human.
Yeah.
You know, and as I walk through a lot of this training with my clients, I will say, how does this feel to you? Like, is it confusing? Do you understand it? Does this feel good? And, you know, and if they're like, oh, I feel a little confused, then we work through that confusion because the dog will pick up on that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to leave their house with them feeling lost and confused. So finding what works for the human will translate to the dog.
Yeah. You need to be on the same page.
Right, right. So my training, I guess, is very fluid. You know, it depends on the dog, it depends on the human, and it depends on their relationship together. So
Basically, the way I see it is like you help solidify a language for the human and the dog because prior to humans talking one language, dogs talking another language, and nobody understands each other.
yes, it's like
now
going
you're
to a
like-
foreign country and
Yeah.
trying to communicate. For sure, for
Awesome.
sure.
What's one of the most rewarding things about what you've done so far?
I think it's seeing people's relationship with their dog. You know, one of my philosophy is creating healthy relationships between humans and canines. So, seeing those healthy relationships come out of working with them is huge. You know, if it takes only one session, great. You know, I'm not in this to drag it out. You know, to keep making money from somebody. I tell people that is like when, you know, they say, well, how many lessons will we need? And I said, I don't know. It depends on the human. It depends on the dog. It depends on how much work you put into it. But my goal is to empower the client to not need me as soon as possible. You know, I want them to feel that confidence that I felt learning what I learned and moving forward with the relationship with my dog. You know, she passed back in 2020, but, you know, I was like, that I look back at that relationship I had with her and I was like, wow, like, I mean, that dog, she taught me so much and she gave me so much. And in the beginning, I was not giving her anything, but by the end, it was very reciprocal. It was such a, you know, amazing relationship I had with that dog. You know, and which I always find mind blowing that we can have that kind of relationship with something doesn't even speak our language, you know, totally different species,
Yeah.
you know.
Pick up on that energy. It's
For
like
sure.
a different language.
For sure. So, I mean, that to me is seeing that relationship grow between client and dog is the best part of my job.
That's amazing. So to kind of wrap it up, what's one piece of advice that you would tell people, whether it's business owners, canine owners, humans in general?
One thing that I learned very early on in this process with dog training is to trust your gut. I think as humans, we are told to stuff our instincts aside. You get that funny feeling, and people are like, "No, you still have to, just stuff it down. You're fine." No, your gut knows, your instincts know. That's how dogs work. They, work off of instinct, and so once you kind of tune into that as a human, it's pretty cool to work with your dog, utilizing that, and again, that's another way to see your relationship grow. But I think I have grown as a person. My confidence has soared. I think overall I've become a much better person by trusting my gut and kind of going off instinct. So start to listen to your intuition. It's going to help you both in life and with your relationship with your dog.
I love it. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.